Okay, if I just give you an overview, lithium is the commodity which has got the fastest growth dynamics of any commodity in the world at the moment, driven by countries' desire to decarbonize their economies and move very strongly towards the implementation of electric vehicles. We plan to extract the lithium from the assets that we have in Chile using direct lithium extraction. This is a resin-based means of taking the lithium out and allowing us to put the spent water minus lithium back into the assets. The assets we have are two very large salars containing 200 to 300 ppm of lithium. We've declared a large resource, but it has they both have tremendous expansion potential, as you will see when Aldo talks about our exploration program over the next 6 months. The world wants to see decarbonization of the economy. We plan to provide that lithium using renewable energy to have a virtually zero carbon emission contribution to the supply chain. When you compare our company, listed in London, we're one of only, I think, 3 lithium companies listed in London, compared to our peer groups largely in Australia, you'll see that we are very undervalued when you compare our market capitalization to the size of the resource. We'll show you some comparative slides later, which demonstrate we're probably only 20% of the value of our peers. Our management team and board have tremendous experience of working in Chile in developing mining projects there and renewable projects, so we're very comfortable operating in that environment. And clearly, Chile is probably one of the leading destinations for mining investment in the world. We've recently had an election, and the new government has committed itself to supporting the mining industry. So wrapping that all together, we believe that this is a very, very strong investment case. Aldo, into the detail. Aldo, you're on mute.
Oh, there I am. The CEO of CleanTech Lithium, Steve Kessler, our chairman, was just telling you an overview of why we exist and what we're doing. I'm going to get into the details of the projects. The lithium demand will grow, and it's there to stay with all the electric vehicle and demand from the industry. But at the same time, we're looking to take away from the industry, or go away from the industry, in the sense that we plan to be zero emissions and as green as we can be, compared to hard rock mines and evaporation ponds. We have 3 projects. 2 of them we've been developing, and our flagship projects, Laguna Verde and Francisco Basin. The area combined of both accounts for twice the area of Central Paris, to give you an idea. We have two and a half weeks ago, we produced a resource estimate based on the previous complaint on Laguna Verde that accounts for 1.51 million of tons at an average grade of 206 milligrams per liter of lithium. But very importantly, out of that 1.5, more than 800,000 of those are measured and indicated resource. So we know we have at a 20,000 tons per year production, we have more than 30 years with just that resource that we plan to upgrade with the upcoming campaign that will start in mid to end of October. In Francisco Basin, we're going to be releasing next week. Early next week, we're going to be releasing the maiden resource that will go up from zero based on our exploration. There's a very interesting note by our broker, one of our 2 brokers, Fox Davis, speaking about 600,000 tons per year. Again, that will be somewhat close to that number, as they're very good and specialists in what they do. And again, we'll be out next week. But at the same time, because of all the good results there, the happily surprised results, and the average of the lithium in more than 300 in the big 8-inch case board that we developed, it will mean that we're also going to be running a drilling campaign there that will start again in mid to end of October. Yamara is just a recent acquisition. I'll go in detail later on the slides. We also plan to do some reconnaissance drilling. Steve has mentioned the fact that we have a proven and board and management from taking projects from start to production. Steve himself has worked as the CEO and business developer of the largest 2 copper mines of the world, Escondida, and he was the first CEO of Collahuasi, and many other developments and work in the mining industry for more than 20 years. These 2 projects, the Laguna Verde and Francisco Basin, we control the whole basin, the complete basins of these projects that allow us for no competitors, for re-injection and various things that we can only do if you don't have any neighbors. There's no indigenous communities. There's a lot of infrastructure in place, allow us to do a lot of things, especially on the direct lithium extraction front. We're a Jersey registered company. We, in March 17, got listed on the AIM market and raised between pre-IPO and at the IPO level in March 9.6 million pounds. The board again, the technically advisory board, the senior management board, CFOs, non-executive directors, etc. Steve?
Yeah, I think the slide on the left shows the growth rate for lithium demand, which is expected in the EU, going up by 20 times in the course of the next 10 years. Very dramatic. And as I say, driven by the EU's requirement to decarbonize the economy and move to electric mobility. But in wanting to grow the battery production in Europe is also insistent that the car manufacturers and battery producers decarbonize their supply chain. And we can see this on the right-hand side. If you compare the CO2 emissions from hard rock mining, like the lithium mines in Australia, or the evaporative brine producers in Chile and Argentina, compared to what we plan to do, which is close to zero emission lithium production as possible. We believe that will give us a marketing advantage into the EU and into the US, and believe that we will be able to command premium pricing to the general lithium market.
Chile and the government itself is highly supportive of sustainable extraction. They've been taking our projects to important world fairs like the one with PDAC, Canada, investors fairs in Australia. We have the highest investment grade rating in Latin America. We are similar to other famous and known mining jurisdictions, Australia and Canada. The center-left government has a lot of interest and is pushing the mining industry to be as green and as low the lowest environmental impact possible. We have a big support and just taking everything positive. The chart on the right tells you that if you compare our resources, we have 1.5 in Laguna Verde. If we take what our broker has said on Francisco Basin, we are above China and close to Argentina. Our 1.5 or 2 million tons, if we take our broker, are not in the Chile calculations. That's how big and how important in the world scale these 2 million and so, and 20,000 each project, the largest 2 ones per year, are going to impact the industry. And again, it's a low environmental impact, not only because of the direct method of extraction, but also because of the infrastructure in place. I myself work and develop more than 800 megawatts of renewable energy, and it's part of the success story in Chile. You can see here the highway, that paved highway that connects Chile and Argentina that goes next to Laguna Verde, this photo. Direct lithium extraction is a mechanical and chemical process. The brine is just pumped out of the processing unit. A resin is mainly used to extract it, and then the spent brine can be re-injected. There's no aquifer depletion, there's no evaporation ponds, water in these high places in the Chile context of the the high deserts is very scarce. I mean, it's very precious, and we would not be affecting that. We've since we did the IPO, we developed 1 kilo of battery grade lithium certified in Germany. We've worked with our partner Beyond Lithium to achieve that, develop a proprietary resin that has been proved to be better than anything we've tested in the past. And we signed an MOU with a China-based company, Sun Resin, who's deploying 37 parts of a 73,000 tons per year lithium plant in Argentina. They have 3 more plants in China. And they just did this in only from the order till the delivery. You can see it on the right bottom of the screen. Only 6 months to do so. The initial part is 25,000 tons. They're the largest resin manufacturer in the world. We've been working with them since 2017. And you can see here one of the plants in China on the bottom left. And then our aim is to be producing and construction in 2024, beginning of 2025, and that's a lot shorter than building evaporation ponds, at lower capex as well, and because evaporation ponds take 12 months to construct, another 12 months to set up the system. This is what Steve mentioned. Do you want to talk about this one, Steve, and our comparison with other?
These are all DLE projects around the world. CleanTech Lithium on the left-hand side. If we look at our market capitalization, 57 million, with the resource, we have a look at further along at Kachi, which is the Lilac Resources project. They have a resource of about 4 million tons of LCE. We're currently, we think, after Francisco Basin 2, with tremendous expansion potential, we think we're going to be able to match the resource size of Lilac. But then you compare the market capitalization with us at $57 million and the Lake Resources $1.2 billion. So that's a comparison where we believe that we will be re-rated very, very fast as we produce results of our resource expansion and we go through our scoping and pre-feasibility studies in the next few months. So we strongly believe those people who've invested and will invest in our company now stand to make great gains as we go into the future.
Yes, thank you, Steve. I'm going to get a quick overview of each project. You can see here in this yellow small pipe coming up from down the earth. What is left after a 3-month drilling campaign down to 600 meters, and that's the low footprint in these big basins that we have. And that photo was of Laguna Verde, and you can see here on the bottom left at the time of drilling how the site looks and what's left afterwards. This is a very interesting basin. Like I said, we have 1.51 million tons of lithium in a combination of inferred, measured, and indicated. We're going to be upgrading that very soon. We're going to be redoing the holes, and we'll be at the same time sampling again. We were caught up by winter as we drilled much deeper than we originally thought, and we're going to try to have these bores as clean from fresh water from above as we can. Then we're going to go with the drilling campaign and plan to expand even further the resource going into the first half of next year. You can see here at the bottom the different holes, how we drip a lot deeper. We had high grades in certain parts of the basin. 100% of all the samples we collected had high temperature or higher temperatures between 20 to 30 degrees. This site and Laguna Verde and Francisco Basin 2 sit at 4,300 meters of elevation, and that it's very rare to have this high waters. We have now Francisco Basin, and you can see the FBO1 on the top right to top left bore. With that just one hole, we're going to be releasing to the market the information next week, public information of how much resources we have. But very importantly, the grade, the overall grade of this hole was 305 milligrams per liter. We had expectations with the geophysics, just as we had in Laguna Verde, to be somewhat of a more shallow, or 100 meters is not shallow, but 100-meter thick aquifer, and actually came up to 204. It's a confined subsurface aquifer. That means it's above 1 atmospheric pressure. When we hit with the drilling target, we hit the subsurface aquifer. It pump up 3/4 of this bottom right rig that you see. Everybody was white the next day as their clothing and the rig dried up. And we're very, very looking to expand this as we will drill 4 holes. We have one halfway done. And again, this will be resuming and mid to end of this month. And then we'll start drilling, and then we'll have informed the market next year of all the advancements in this project. We're going to be finishing by the end of the year scoping study on Laguna Verde, end of the year, beginning of next year in Francisco's Basin. We've started baselines, environmental baselines on both projects. We're setting up to start the hydrogeological work. We're putting all the money we have raised in the IPO and pre-IPO to work to develop the projects, who again, Steve says, and I agree, we're severely undervalued. And the idea is to move the whatever number of inferred resource that comes out now into measured and indicated. We plan, with the information we have so far, to start with 20,000 tons per year production for each of these projects. Yamara is the latest addition. As all projects, we have good geophysics in place. It's the bottom graph where you can see the light color magenta that shows the brine indication down there. And above, on surface, we've collected samples and have access samples of lithium rocks and lithium in the surface. So we're going to try a very quick and cheap and fast drilling to be able to ratify that there's brine down there that we're sure we'll find, but then to check the lithium grade and then run a more formal campaign. This site, it sits at 1,000 meters, closer to Salar de Atacama, a little to the northwest of Salar de Atacama, the largest reservoir and producing place in the world. And again, it will add a lot of value to the company as we start developing this. Steve, I don't know if you want to talk about the clean energy and how we're connected to infrastructure.
Aldo, you take it.
Okay. We're in the Chile is all connected from Patagonia to the northern Chile on the central power grid. Again, I was part of this revolution of the renewable energy. This is a big mining jurisdiction closer to the town of Copiapó, where we are. We're 5 kilometers away in Francisco Basin from a substation with amply a lot of capacity to be able to run every energy demand that we need. And we plan that energy with a power purchase agreement, a PPA, to be 100% clean. The same for Laguna Verde. It's only 56 kilometers away from a substation with capacity as well. And there's excellent roads, ports, even in large parts of Francisco Basin, cell phone coverage, etc. We're very, very excited. And Chile has been, again, leading the revolution of going into renewable energies that account now more than 50%. We also have existing bores in both basins, and we are working on the water rights that by default are ours. As we control the basins, the law allows you of water who is within your mining property to be yours, and this is part of the fresh water we need for working on the DLE extraction model. The catalyst events for the next 12 months is what I already mentioned. Next week, the maiden resource estimate in Francisco Basin, additional resource estimate in Laguna Verde coming fairly soon before the end of the year because of the reconditioning of the existing holes, the 4 holes we did in the past drilling season. And then it will come the news on both drilling campaigns as we move forward. That'll be next year, the finishing of the drilling campaigns, and then moving, adding more inferred and more measured and indicated resources. We already ordered from Belgium a subsidiary of Sangresin, the pilot plant that should come in the next 6 weeks or so down to Chile to be able to start producing more and more quantities of battery-grade lithium that we can send to vendors and test the whole process. We also sent brine to China for the same reason. I already mentioned we're going to be finishing the Laguna Verde scoping study, and by the end of the year, the Francisco Basin scoping study. These preliminary economic assessments will give a value of the company, and with that value, we'll start talking to potential strategic partner announcements for offtake and others. We are one of the only listed companies that don't have an offtake agreement. This has been something done on purpose to give more money to the company and to the shareholders, and then bring a minority agreement with one of these household names. We've been approached by many, but we're holding till we have more de-risk and more evolve, and we have grown the project some more. All this working with the direct lithium extraction work, the piloting stage will move into a larger pilot plant production to produce 1 ton or 2 tons of battery grade per month as we move forward. And this is the key data of the company. We already talked about the value, the market cap. The shares is held tightly by the board, myself as a founder, and Jason Baberstock, the other co-founder. He's from Australia, and large funds who hold the stake. The stake has been growing in liquidity. There's been more people buying and selling, and if we need more money, we're funded for the things we're doing, but we'll go to the market and raise some more. Steve, please.
Yeah, if you look at the company as a whole, the things that we have going for us is with the DLE, we have a very, very short lead time to production. Most mining projects are taking 7 years to get from exploration into production. We aim to do that considerably faster. A lot of the world is very keen to see that projects are sustainable. They have minimum environmental impact. Clearly, the Chilean government is very keen to demonstrate that new projects meet their environmental goals, which is low environmental impact. And this technology allows us to do that. The DLE technology is not new. It's been used in Argentina by Livent for many years. But it will be the technology of the future for all the new brine projects in Argentina and Chile. Will be using DLE technology into the future. We've already demonstrated that our brines are suitable to make battery-grade lithium. We have excellent infrastructure in place, not just physical infrastructure like roads and water and power, but most importantly, people. Chile has a tremendous mining history. It has very high technical skills for the mining industry. Many consultants and engineering companies are based in Chile, supporting the mining industry there. At site, we are remote, but with good infrastructure. We're high at 4,300 meters. There's no indigenous communities. There's almost no flora or fauna, which can be disturbed. So we are very, very sure of the support of the Chilean government in the way that we're going to develop this project in an environmentally sensitive way.
Thank you. So the key takeaways is that we have a green lithium production using direct lithium extraction in the leading mining jurisdiction of Chile. As Steve just mentioned, the board and management experience is delivering mining projects in Chile from exploration into production. And then we're backed up by an excellent team. And again, we're inviting all shareholders, current and future, to invest in this highly undervalued lithium opportunity. With this, we can take questions, or we'll take questions.
Excellent. Yes, you won't be surprised to hear that there are some questions that have been been coming through, so I will start putting those over to you.
Okay.
There's one here, quite a simple question, but it's a clarification. And I find, typically when you get these kind of questions, lots of other people might be thinking that as well. So someone said, what is the end product? Is it lithium carbonate?
We have the ability to produce either lithium carbonate or lithium hydroxide, depending on what the cathode manufacturers want. Some want carbonate, some want hydroxide. From our production process, we can produce both.
Excellent, thank you very much. And there's some more detailed questions here about the plans for funding the initial capital expenditure. So somebody's asked, how well funded are you to carry out the initial drilling plans? And if you were to raise more money, what might that mean for early shareholders? Are you going to see dilution of shares?
Okay, I think we went to our IPO in March with a specific program of this early stage exploration, undertaking the scoping study, feasibility study, environmental work. It was very clear when we were speaking with institutions, they were pushing us to raise more money at that time in March and greatly expand our exploration potential, to expand that resource as fast as possible. Unfortunately, in March, that was the time that Russia invaded Ukraine, and the markets became very wobbly at that time. So we downgraded the amount that we raised in the IPO. We were originally looking at 10 to 12 million. We eventually took just under 6. And it's very clear that to advance this project, we need to do more drilling. We will be raising additional funds for that exploration. But we don't believe that is going to be significantly dilutive to shareholders, because with the news that we bring out from the exploration program, we expect to see the share price driven considerably higher. Excellent.
That's good to know. Some optimism is always welcome at our events. So there's a question here: at which tonnage do you plan to start production, and from which source do you intend to start production? Will it be Laguna Verde or Francisco?
Aldo?
Sorry, Aldo, I think you might be on mute, so I should bring you back.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yep.
Our plan is to start production at both sites at 20,000 tons per year. So Laguna Verde will have an initial 20,000 tons per year, and Francisco Basin will have an initial 20,000 tons per year of lithium.
Excellent, thank you. And just to say to anyone watching, if these are your questions and you've got follow-ups, then by all means do send them through. Questions here about the any potential political risk in the project. So how confident are you about the political situation? What are the expectations of the current government? And what contingencies have you put in place if necessary?
Yeah, we've been working with authorities from early on, and we received great support. But Chile was for the last 9 months involved in a referendum to create a new constitution, and that had a lot of noise about changes on the rules of engagement with the mining industry and so on. Just a month before the referendum vote, which was on 4th of September, both approved the constitution and they reject the constitution and the proposed constitution, and the government itself said that the mining industry will not be touched, and that everything will be kept in place to bring investors. If any change will happen because of the new constitution, it will take over a long period of time to not change the fundamentals of that. But then the vote happened, and an overwhelmingly majority of the country rejected the constitution, vote for a more central, a house for everyone in the new constitution, and that really set the tone of everybody more towards the center and more pro-investment and more pro-business. It's always been, but even so right now. We're working on various fronts. to be able to have all the permitting in place. We've been working with environmental permitting, all the work behind scoping studies and hydrological models. And also, we're very positive of our work, initial work with the communities and so on. We don't foresee any problem. Projects always get, if they comply with everything as we are, and especially with our green credentials, go into production.
Mm. I mean, you mentioned it was put to a referendum. I guess that might be the sort of thing that might make some retail investors nervous. That things go to a popular vote.
The referendum to have a new proposed constitution that came out of a convention of people elected democratically, that had create at the discussion level some confusion and maybe some awareness from the investors that the rules will be changed. Again, before the referendum was voted, everybody assured that the main fundamentals of mining will be kept at place. But then the vote itself, rejecting any changes, rejecting a new constitution with the changes that we're proposing, have moved now everyone, and that was a transversal vote all the way from the center left to the center right, rejecting this, has voted the whole country to come up with a more centrist, a new proposed constitution that will come in the next 6 to 12 months, much more pro-business and pro-investors and so on. So that's what happened. And a big majority of the country said, we want to improve this and not go backwards and to bring everyone together. So we have this long tradition in Chile of being a combination of pro-business and at the same time taking care of all the public policies. And mining has been the driving force of the government and the income money from investors to be able to do their projects and programs. So that's why the agreement to keep mining in good place. Steve itself worked here. How many years, Steve, on mining, and you know the country?
Yeah, no, I've worked in Chile for over 30 years, off and on, from the development of Escondida, then Collahuasi. And as a foreign investor, I've always been struck at the importance which the government put on the mining industry. It is absolutely central to the economy, and whether the government is a bit right of center or left of center, everybody is absolutely clear that mining is the driving force of the economy of Chile, and that will continue into the future.
And there's questions about the DLE process itself, and you had some very illuminating slides on that. So one of our viewers was asking, is this a process that's been proven in a similar geographic area? And, could you talk us through that?
Yeah, since 1998, Livent in Salar de Hombre Muerto across the Andes in a brine project has been, they don't have evaporation pond, and they have a resin ram project, and they've been producing 20,000 tons per year. So since 1998, some resin from China adapted and that technology into more commercial scale plants that they're delivering over to the world, have 3 producing plants. And if the question is in a similar geographic area, they just deployed again in Argentina across 120 kilometers from our projects with the same chemistry, the same environment, the initial parts of a 25,000 ton per year plant. So we have an old project running with direct lithium extraction and new projects coming in our geographic area with that. Sunresin also announced a similar MOU that they signed with us, with Anson, a company based in Utah, also on direct lithium extraction. I didn't mention all the qualities of direct lithium extraction. Shorter time to go into production, no evaporation ponds, less environmental footprint. At the DLE level with the resin, in 95% recovery rate, the overall process, it's less than that, but it's twice the recovery rate of a traditional brine evaporation pond. The OPEX is not significantly higher, 10 to 15% of the evaporation pond OPEX, and at the same time, with the current prices, there's an ample capacity for the companies to grow based on the profit margin of those costs. And
does the direct lithium extract, does it allow for higher recovery rates than other forms of?
I was just saying, it's higher.
Yeah.
It's 95% at the DLE level, the resin absorption rate, and then 80, a little bit above 80, the overall process of recovery. All the 100% of the spent brine without lithium has no chemical or anything and can be re-injected back in the subsurface aquifer as long as you have a sound hydrogeological model and you control the basin as we do. And that's something very important in the way we're running our projects.
Mm-hmm. And so there's a question here about the RNS that's been issued confirming the 1 kilogram of laboratory battery grade lithium production. And the questioner is asking, has this triggered milestone 1 as described in the admission document with Beyond Lithium?
Yes, that we already agreed to the report they sent us and all the work they did, not only on the past 6 to 9 months to achieve the 1 kilo battery, but all the way back to 2017. And we're going to be awarding them the 200K milestone shares and the $50,000. We're just waiting on everything to finish, and even though the report is approved, we're going through all the details of that to issue that in the near future.
Excellent. Great, thank you very much. So I think, Steve, in particular, you spoke about the sort of the macro environment for lithium. You also mentioned the Chinese interest in this project. I mean, what expectations are there out there of China as a demand market for lithium?
Well, China is a tremendous market for lithium. Virtually all of the Australian production of spodumene goes to China for processing into lithium carbonate, lithium hydroxide. The Chinese have been very active buying into lithium projects in Africa and other parts of the world. We as a company have taken a position not to give out any offtake contracts at this early stage of the project until we've defined better the size of the resource, and following our scoping studies and into PFS, the economic value of the project. But we've been seeing a lot of activity in the lithium space with Chinese companies, trading houses, other mining companies like Rio Tinto going into the lithium space, car manufacturers, battery manufacturers, all looking to secure supply of lithium for their production into the future. So we believe there's going to be a lot of interest when this project becomes much better known. When we want to go into the construction stage, clearly it's going to take considerable financing, what is $700 million or thereabouts. And we'll be looking to bring in a strategic partner at that time. But a strategic partner clearly wants the offtake for that lithium, but they also need to provide the construction finance or mobilize the banks to provide that construction finance. So we'll be looking at having those discussions with potential strategic partners post our scoping studies sometime into next year to see if we can identify who would be the best partner to bring into this project.
Excellent. Well, thank you both for a comprehensive update, and I think there's already been some excellent feedback in the chat there from some of the viewers today. And for anyone that's found the presentation useful, you will of course be able to access the slides afterwards. So, chaps, thanks again for such an interesting presentation.